All right, we're coming at you live. This is Clark.
And I'm Toby.
With the Restoration Advisors. And this is our branded podcast called Disaster Podcaster. This is episode 18. We are recording this on the last day of September.
Crazy.
September 30th, heading into October, one of my favorite months, birthday month. And
unashamed plug.
Shame plug, yeah.
Unashamed.
Gifts come in the way of dollar bills. No, I'm kidding. Gonna have a great show today. We've got some really good topics. Got some other things to talk about, but just wanted to welcome you back. It's I think we've been a week or two since we've created a podcast, and can't wait to catch you on the other side.
But a bitch ain't one. Hit me. Years 94.
All right, let's do this. First off, I want to acknowledge that we dressed up for you today. We dressed up like we're about to go to the woods and go hunting. I'm wearing my camo. We're really just relaxed today.
Well, it's your Thursday, man. It's your Friday, isn't it?
Shh. Yeah. This is my Thursday, Friday. Just had a good lunch with a great guy, Bernie. Yeah. Shout out to Bernie. Guess who I talked to right before we went live? OP. Our buddy OP Alvarez. That man's been busy. I called for him. Oh, gosh, it's been a month. I called up him a voicemail, but I did tell him it's not urgent. Anyway, big shout out to OP doing big things out in the La La Land, LA. Good friend, good mentor. Really had a good time. So just want to give him a shout out. He wanted to tell everybody hello. Today, we've got some good topics. We're just going to kind of riff with it. You may notice if you've watched our other episodes, we've kind of changed our setup. I don't know that this is permanent. Toby and I like to really just play around with things and see what works and what doesn't, and not based on anything.
As much as we hate to admit it, I think we're gadget geeks.
Yeah, we're a little gadgety geeky. No, we Google how to do all of this shit, so don't worry about that.
YouTube University,
boy. I got a PhD in YouTube. So we got some great stuff, but other than that, how you doing?
I'm good. Good. Glad to be done with travel.
Yeah, we went on a junket, didn't we?
You were 5 of 6, I think.
Yeah,
5. Or 4 or 5, one of the
4 or 5 out of 5 weeks or something like that. Last week was the last one. I was in Wisconsin. Had cheese curds.
Yeah, I missed that boat.
Yeah,
I wish I could have been there.
Toby and I were in Wisconsin in March, and everybody asked us, "Did you have the cheese curds? Did you have the cheese curds?" And no, I don't really even know what cheese curds are, and everybody was just appalled.
It was funny.
It was pretty funny. It was funny, but
clearly we didn't know what we were missing.
We didn't, because I had at this time I had more than a lot. Blew my diet clearly. No, cheese curds good. People up there were great. We were in Wausau, up in north central, beautiful country, and had a good time. We're putting EOS into a business, Traction. Gino Wickman, if you've read that book, it's a great business operating system. It's really attractive to what we do, with a complexity of ever-changing parts and pieces and urgencies. You still have to watch what's most important in your business.
Yeah,
and
it just really puts a rhythm in a business, though.
It does. It kind of calms the chaos, if you will.
Yep.
It gets you back where you need to go so you can keep going. Hey, let me start the show out by giving you some exciting news. I didn't know if I was going to announce this later in the show or now. We have a sponsor. We have a brand new sponsor for the Disaster Podcaster, and it's Kahi. Kahi is an asset and fleet intelligence and tracking software. Telematics is what it's called. Telematics. What does that mean? You got to ask them. I don't know. I'm not Google. I didn't YouTube that before I got on. Kahi is going to be our sponsor. It's owned by a great friend and a great industry icon, Kevin Dooley. Kevin and his father have been around the industry for a long time. And, he came to me and just said, listen, I love what you guys are doing. Do you need a sponsor? And I said, yeah, we could get better microphones maybe. But, it's really just more about relationship. And I dig what they're doing because I think that tracking your two most important pieces are important, your equipment and your fleet. And then they have people tracking too. Like you don't track the people, but helps know where people
a chip
are.
in the arm?
No chips in the arm.
Yet.
So, you know what? Go to kahi.io, KAHI.io. Get a demo. Get a hold of the team. I know a lot of people that are slowly putting this into their business. I mean, this industry, we've been messing around with tracking of equipment for years, and there's passive and non-passive. There's RFID. There's all kinds of stuff and all kinds of things. And you just want to have something that's simple. And what's really cool is Kahi is integrating pretty quickly with a lot of other CRMs, so they can try to.
Integration is crucial.
It is.
In this day and age, it's crucial.
I think more and more apps and CRMs have APIs, whether or not it's native or it's Zapier, but they just want to go into the workflow where it just becomes part of the process and the system. So we're really, really glad to have Kevin on board and Kahi and his team. That said, I think probably in a week or two, Kevin will be a guest on the show. So we'll get to know Kevin, how he got here, why he's so passionate about equipment, what his background was, and things like that. So it might be interesting. But he might also tell you something. Actually, I know he'll tell you something about the software that I don't know. But it's really cool. I've got a lot of people in the industry that have been chirping in my ear about this is it. This is the best thing we've got going on right now for this. So I like that kind of non-biased feedback. People that are actually paying money for it, loving it. So
yeah, gadget geeks.
But I'm proud to have you guys aboard and can't wait to build that relationship. And if anybody has any questions about it, you can obviously reach out to us and we'll put you in touch. But just go to kahi.io. Kevin will be on here in a week or two, and we'll put that in the show notes as well.
We should probably get a direct link or an email or something that we can put in the show notes.
We'll do that.
For people. Yeah,
we'll be more prepared next time for that.
Cool.
So as we get to going, we'll do more of that. I'd like to go on and give a shout out to our friends, colleagues, and peers that are working in storm, whether that is greater New Orleans, Louisiana, New Jersey, New York, things like that. We've got a lot of friends that are probably nearing the tail end of that event.
We would hope.
We would hope.
And I bet they hope too.
Yeah. But we have a lot of people that went and mobilized for these places, and two things helped put some revenue on the bottom line to support the company, and then help some people in a time where they just needed to be there. But I do know this: if you did choose to go and do some cat work, if you're a restorer, with the current staffing issues, it probably added.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, added some complexities to try to how to balance taking people from home base to go there when you're actively trying to recruit and get more people in. So shout out to you guys. That was my life for a very long time. I know what it takes. And one of our segments, probably in the next few weeks also, we're going to be talking about cat response. Not so much what people think, but everybody wants to get into that kind of word, that big commercial, big loss. And it's fun, it's exciting, it's obviously great, but I want people to understand what goes into doing that from a financial investment standpoint, and even just infrastructure and resources that it takes to do it well and not lose your skin. I don't want to discourage anyone from going, but I certainly would want people to have a better understanding of this is where the bodies are buried.
Yeah,
be ready.
You don't want to discourage, but you want to help prepare them.
The reality is sometimes a great equalizer of that. And it might be something that some people hadn't thought about. So that's coming up in the next week or two. I've got a guest or two that I think could probably accompany that conversation and add some depth to that.
Yeah. We got somebody watching. Drop a comment. Let us know who you are.
Drop it down.
Unfortunately, we can't see who they are until they drop a comment.
Yep. We are going live with this. So just anyone that hasn't watched Disaster Podcaster, if you can't catch this whole thing live in our Restoration Advisors official group on Facebook, then it's also going to be a podcast, only audio, which will be found anywhere on Apple, Spotify, Google, whatnot. It can be found on our website, restorationadvisors.com. And then we keep the video recorded version and put that on YouTube for people who just prefer to look at us, which don't know why, but I don't know why. So anyway, if you're watching this, great. We love live feedback. I'm a big fan of real time, doing it raw, doing it, solid. If you want to know anything about, even if it has nothing to do with whatever we talk about today, but especially if it's something we're talking about today.
Just to kind of piggyback on that, some of you can see this really cool thing right here, and that's going to allow us to take phone calls. We're dabbling with the idea of taking some live phone calls. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So if if you're listening and you like the idea of a call-in type of thing, let us know. We think it'd be cool, but obviously we want to understand what the listeners. We
want to understand it's going to take some real logistics for some people to know. It's going to have to be at the same time, same place. Real easy to call, the number on the screen, the whole thing. It's like a radio show. That's kind of where I got the idea. I kind of grew up listening to talk radio. Many of you might do that. I just think having a talk radio show about restoration with guests is super, super interesting, and it has a lot of potential. So more to come on that. Love your comments, love your feedback. We don't want to do it just to do it. So, what else? Let's go. I know I wanted to congratulate you because you played a big part of last week. Was a big push for us, a big drop of our first course, our first e-course, our online course. It's a step in a direction that I wanted to go for a couple of years. I didn't have all the components together and the time, but Toby really had some creative ideas. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Producing it, trying to put out something that's really good. But we made a podcast last week about Xactimate, what Xactimate doesn't tell you about pricing. I want to talk a bit about it. Again, just saying thank you for helping release it. We've had a good response to it. It takes a lot to advertise those kinds of things and just getting it in front of people. I know it's wanted because it's direct response to what people ask all the time. Is
almost daily.
We
have that conversation.
And I'd like to address that because it ties into the feedback that we've been getting. People have given us feedback that bought the course as well as, hey, we're looking at buying this thing. It's not very expensive, $149, $150,
yeah,
$150.
$150.
It's not long. It's less than an hour. It's a workshop, really. But it's not something that we looked at time for money. It's just the ROI and what it's going to do. But people ask, what's it? We're not training and coaching you how to use Xactimate. There's a million places to do that. I think episode 12 or 13 we had Elena Wilson, restoration or Xactimate Ninja or Mastery or something, Xactimate Mastery. That's where you go if you want to learn to be more proficient on that. This course is directly about the challenge, pain point, struggle that we see from carriers, TPAs, program vendors, all of the different parties that want to make you believe that Xactimate is the gospel of price, that it's what you have to charge, and it's not only not true. I know that not everyone knows that, which is why we made the course, but it's honestly
expressly written. It's
expressly written, and we this course gives you not only the practical education, but the from Xactimate themselves.
Yeah, we show you where to go get the information.
Yeah, the interpretation of their own terms and conditions of how they intended to be used. It's right there in black and white, literally.
Literally, yeah.
But it's you aren't taught that. I challenge Xactimate because I don't think they go out of their way enough to make that as big of public knowledge. The pricing is not being updated because of lack of understanding of how that works, and then it's being weaponized against you by parties. People will make you believe that if you're not Xactimate, you're too high, and this course goes into that. And I really think it's actionable, but I just want to thank those that have invested time into helping support our little company here with that. It's just a way that we can just afford to do more of this, more content, more time to do this, help more people in a bigger way. So really glad of that. Pick it up. It's on our website, Xactimate, shameless plug again, kind of good at that. But I'm really proud of it. It's not going to be our best work, but it's our first work.
Yeah. We started where we were with what we had.
Yep. I think it's funny to know in what 4, 5, 6, 10 years from now, we're going to go back and look. It's not we might even pull it. We might redo it. It might get revamped.
I think that there will definitely be a version 2.
Yeah, I'll be looking back and say, why didn't I have a mullet? We wear mullets now. So Anyway, there'll be a 2.0. So anyway, but anything else about that course?
No.
Again, thanks for
Yeah.
really. It was long. It was a big process, and it was a lot larger than we thought it was going to be. And I know that we all deal with that in our business on something. It's like to do something great, it's not quick. It's we can put anything out, but for something that we'd be proud of, it's not easy. Not easy.
And it takes trying once, twice, 3 times, or
Yeah.
failing once,
Failing.
twice, 3 times.
Yeah. And then asking people for feedback, and we sent a copy of it to several people that are in the industry, and can't always say it was easy to hear,
Right.
but it's what we needed to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, but I challenge you in your own businesses, pencil out some time to do the things that you really want to do the most, even if it's 10 minutes a week. It's a step. So nonetheless, Toby, our big topic today. Staffing, recruiting, talent acquisition.
Yep.
All the
Almost
above.
as much as the Xactimate conversation, we have staffing conversations, recruiting.
Maybe right currently, probably more.
Yeah,
Probably
you're
more.
Right. Yeah.
We were having lunch with Bernie, and he mentioned that we're all prone to attacking what's burning. It's triage. Where's the biggest pain, and that becomes omnipresent right in front of you. Staffing, having enough people is certainly a huge topic, and I dare to even bring this up today because I don't want to just be another conversation about the same conversation everyone else is having.
Everybody's having it.
And we talked about this a little bit on another podcast, and I just want to bring it forward and clearly talk about some conversations that we've had. We made some notes. How to overcome it, how to deal with it, how to position yourself with it.
Root cause of it,
which is a whole nother episode. But what I don't want to do, what I would like today's, and if we're going to get comments, we got any comments yet?
No. We got one person watching right now.
One vato.
And they just popped off.
They popped off. Okay,
Every time we mention them, they go away.
A little scared, a little shy. That's all right. They'll watch it on the backside. So listen, we're not going to have a political discussion today. We're not going to talk about who's causing this, vaccines, pandemics, COVID, Biden, nothing. I mean, that's been beat up, and it really just causes us to not look at what to do about it.
Yeah.
It's just a blame game.
It becomes a blame game, and really in business, you have to look at your circumstances and figure out how to work with the circumstances that you're in right now, and stop blaming. I mean, because blaming, it's a waste of time.
Get it? We're all
What do
feeling
you have
it.
to work with?
Yeah.
Let's go to battle.
I don't know anyone, almost in our industry, that on either a smaller or large scale that isn't struggling with needing some staff, whether that don't have enough or have some of the wrong ones and they're trying to replace. So let's get that out there. This is I've been calling it the epidemic after the pandemic. So it's going way beyond staffing. It's supply chain. It's everything.
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. And to go back to the staffing point, staffing's been an issue for years.
Mm-hmm.
When I got into business for myself, I said, and this, 5-7 years ago, I said, the person that wins the staffing game wins. And that was almost a decade ago.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's compounded exponentially, the problem.
Yeah.
But it's still a problem.
Yep.
So, and it's not going away.
It's not, and it's going to probably have reciprocal effect in a lot of things. So what you've got is we've got this delta between what we currently probably with our pricing, what we can afford, and what people are willing to work for. And I think it all falls around a lot of the entry level. Mm-hmm. This is a mostly entry level position.
Yeah.
This is your service industries, your restaurants, maybe hospitality.
Pretty much anything blue collar.
Anything blue collar. I don't know that executives and middle class and professionals are really struggling that much with it. Maybe a little, but not to the point where. And what I want to address is this is causing a revenue drain on companies. There's a capacity. You cannot produce the number of leads that you have because of your lack of human resources and assets. Almost never since I've been consulting and coaching have I not heard, man, the phone's just not ringing. I just need to get more calls.
I mean, there's seasons of that. Sure.
There are seasons.
But by and large, the issue we have now is there's tons of work.
Mm-hmm.
There's just not enough bodies to
and it may
produce the
seem that
work.
way because we can't get to it all. It may have always been the same, but it just feels different. So I'm going to go ahead and say, and we've said this on the podcast before, if you're trying to hire people at 12 and 13, number one, you better hope they don't take it. Number two, you better worry that if someone does take that, they're not going to be the right people for what you need to do. Now, we're always going to need workers and helpers and hammer bangers and floor removal and demo guys. But that's just,
even the good ones of those you don't want at $12 an hour. Not now,
no.
not in this day and age.
They'll show up. You know, if someone has a hurt finger, a paper cut, they're calling out. They don't care about your culture. They don't care about your product, your customer.
They just want to collect a check and work as little as possible
I
for the check.
I think $15 an hour is an entry level, and it's for young men and women who are working less, not to support a family, but to just support supplemental income. Maybe a teenager, young adult who might still live at home with mom and dad and want to pay for their own gas and insurance and internet or phone bill or whatever.
I would say you're doing pretty well if you're finding a really good employee at $15 an hour.
Yeah. And I will tell you this, if you've got somebody at $15 an hour, you better be looking at advancing them up because somebody's going to snipe them away. If you're teaching them a skill, it won't take long till they figure out what they're really worth.
Yeah.
I like 18 to 20 for a starting.
I was just having a conversation this week. Green, no experience, $20 an hour for a company in Arizona.
Yep.
So, they're willing to pay the money because they know if they pay the money, it's an investment, right? If they make the investment, they're going to get a good return out of that investment.
Yep.
$12, $13, $14 an hour is not a good investment.
Yeah.
In this market.
So let's say if you come to that realization, and some have come to that realization sooner than others.
Yeah.
You come to this realization, and now you're like, okay, but I'm not making as much profit. Well, you're going to do what any business does. And I was just at lunch and had we had barbecue. I paid right at $20 for a sandwich, barbecue sandwich. It's costing. They're adjusting. The inside was not open. They did not have server staff.
And we asked about that.
We did.
When are you guys going to open the dining room? I mean, in Virginia, dining rooms have been open for a little while now. He's like, it ain't happening. We don't have enough staff. That dining room holds, what do you say, 300 people?
350 people. Yeah.
He's like, we just don't have the staff to serve them.
Yeah. Everybody's experienced it. Everybody's gone to a restaurant and half the place is empty and you got an hour wait and you're like, what? But they don't have the staff.
So to go to your point,
yeah,
they had to raise their prices a lot. I mean, $18.95 for a sandwich.
Good sandwich.
It was a good sandwich, but historically that would not have been worth it. 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago, we would not have ordered that sandwich.
No.
You're looking at what side of can I get a kid's meal? Can I get a grilled peanut butter and jelly?
But they still have all the overhead that they have to cover. They still have the building.
None of that's changed, and the overhead and the insurance and the marketing and the taxes and just the waste of food waste. I mean, all that stuff goes in. I've always said overhead is all the things in your business that if you don't have one job or one client for the next 2 months, you still have these costs. That's what your overhead is. So everything on your P&L that has to do with that is your overhead, and it has to be accounted for, and it goes into your prices. Well, herein lies the challenge, and the restaurant has said we have two choices. We raise our price or we close.
Yep.
And
that's it.
Nobody gets to come to Buzz and Ned's barbecue, and people like it.
Love it. There's a lot of people there.
A lot of people love it. So that's the two choices. You have two choices in your business. It means you're going to have to raise the rates. Now, that is where the challenge comes in, or what is perceived as a challenge. The carrier, my relationships with adjusters and agents, my referral partners, any self-pays, people with caps and limits. Listen, I don't know who all your clients are, but they're all dealing with this themselves in some way or another. They get it. They may not want to pay it, and they will tell you, well, I'll just use someone else. someone else is going to have the same problem.
Yeah.
Someone else that they're going to go to is going to be, they might do the job cheaper because they haven't figured out that they can raise their price. They're not going to have the good folks. The job's not going to be good. That's not your customer anymore. And it's just so hard to have that conversation when you're a business owner, trying to make your revenue, trying to cover your overhead. But you've got to be smart about it. And it kind of goes back to your marketing and your strategy. But you're probably going to charge more, just like any other business is doing right now.
I mean, it's simple economics, supply and demand,
Yeah.
and you're going to have to pay more to get quality folks. I mean,
you're not immune to it. You're not immune.
Yeah, nobody's immune to it.
Yeah.
It's just baffling to me that there's so many people that are like, oh, well, we can't pay more than $13 an hour, so they keep operating their business short-staffed, and then they're burning their people out, and they're close to losing people.
Yep.
Because everybody's over.
You're not immune to it. This industry's not immune. I will also tell you that Xactimate's not keeping up with the influx of the supply and demand pain you're feeling. It's trucking
months behind at best.
Months, maybe a year. Yeah, so it's just trucking right along. You're continuing being told that this is what I can charge per square foot. It won't last long. The pain you're feeling now will get worse. So just have that conversation with your team, your leadership. Test it. Don't go full-blown right away, but know what it costs you to operate so that you can back into that and reverse engineer it. I'll tell you another thing, and Toby has a great talk and points about this, is recruiting non-experienced people that don't have. And I think everybody watching, or most of you, are probably have settled and come to that decision that probably going to get people that don't have direct experience in what we do.
Yeah. For those that follow me on LinkedIn, you saw my post, but I posted this on LinkedIn earlier this week. Steve Jobs was interviewed one time about his interviewing and recruiting process, and it was phenomenal, and it's something I've been saying for a long time. Don't go out and look for the best drying technician. Go look for the people that have the character that supports the values of your organization, because anybody can be taught to dry, but you can't teach character. So go find the people that can lead, that can encourage, and that can be a valuable asset to your team, and don't just look for the best drying technician.
People that have common sense.
Well, that would be
empathy.
nice.
Empathy.
Empathy's huge in this industry.
Eager to learn something. In 2002, I entered this industry. Didn't know how to dry, didn't know how to clean, I didn't know what this was about.
Yeah.
But I knew that there was a learning curve, and I dug in and I took it, and whatever it means, here I am today, whatever I'm doing. But you're going to have to invest. It means you're going to have some infrastructure that supports training and having your shit figured out a little bit. And that's another area that I think some people have put that off. But everybody wants to create SOPs for their business all the time. It's something, but I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next quarter, next year. Well, now's the time you wish you would have invested time into that back when you had good people. So you're going to have to train people. You're going to be patient with them. You're going to have to let them screw up. You're going to let your customers know that we've got some great people. They're kind of new. Communicate with us, give us feedback so we can help them grow. So be good about that, right? So, but it also means that you, as the owner or the leader or the project managers, still need to be the coach and the trainer. You cannot get so deep into those jobs that you forget that you've got others that don't know what they're doing. You've got to train them up, and that might be something that some people just aren't good at.
Anytime we talk about something like this, it's always nice to have, like, what does that even look like?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talk about it all the time. Chick-fil-A.
Mm-hmm.
Chick-fil-A is phenomenal there's no shortage of people that want to work for them. They are almost fully staffed, at least to the outsider looking in, all the time.
Yep.
They have great systems. One of those systems is a recruiting system. They have you say it all the time. One of the things that they do is the owner or the owner operator, the franchisee, is generally part of a community of people that is along the lines of the people that work for Chick-fil-A.
Yep. He's
a youth group
a
leader
youth
at a
group.
church,
He's at a church.
right?
He's involved with a church, and everyone in the church knows that I've got a great place to work where kids are having fun. We teach them some leadership. There's some benefits that go towards schooling. It's a great place.
Opportunity. We have a career path. All the things that a
Yeah.
parent would want their young teen or
Where would I
middle-aged
want
teen.
my kids to be where I know they're getting cared for? Be that.
Be that.
Be that company. Be that. See what that looks like. You know what? Start doing the stuff that you've never done to get the things you've never gotten. I say that all the time. So, and I've got notes here, but this is. Let's jump ahead. That's marketing. That is marketing. You know that's indirect marketing. Market now, less on getting leads and getting jobs from customers, and market to hire, market to staff. Market that we've got opportunities. We're only hiring and keep the consistent message. I'm looking for amazing, energetic, enthusiastic people that just really don't over embellish it, but just make it clear the kind of people you want. And if you do that openly, and if you do it right on your social media, your marketing, your whatever, your clients will see that and say, "Wow, ABC Restoration." They kind of put a lot into that, and there's some benefit there that will not turn off the funnel. It may even help. Again,
It's also letting the client know what type of people you're looking to hire.
and who will be in my house.
Yeah.
If I need them, or if I refer them to somebody I know, I feel pretty confident that it's going to be a pretty good person. It's going to be background checked. It's going to be drug free or whatever. So that's a tool set, mindset. Shift that around.
But before we jump ahead,
yeah.
I just want to reiterate, dial back. The recommendation we're making to a lot of our clients is dial back the revenue generating leads and dial up your recruiting efforts.
Yep.
Take that money and reinvest it into recruiting people.
Use your business development team in some way that's creative. You know what? You may have to
be creative.
You have to incentivize them too. Incentivize your staff that are there now, saying, "Who do you want to work next to?" You don't want to, and this my next topic is the team that you have. They're getting burnt out because they're the only ones showing up, and so include them that, hey, I'm trying to fix this, and maybe here's some creative ideas. I'll give obviously bonuses to referrals that come to work with us so much for the first 90 days. Everybody knows how to do that. Emphasize that. Everybody in your church, everybody on your street, everybody in the Cub Scouts and the soccer match and your softball team, hunting camp, everybody should know that, and they're, everybody's hiring, but they should know that critically we can't help people that have an emergency in their house right now because it's almost like an EMT. What happens when ambulances don't have enough EMTs and we start having accidents? So this is a bigger implication, and I just want you to put focus on that and build that around it. We talk to people all the time about it. I don't have all the answers, but I certainly have a lot of ideas that can turn into to something or another. Toby, another thing I want people to do to recognize, because sometimes we're looking at we don't say no to taking in more work. You just mentioned turn off your marketing for the leads, but if you're still getting leads, you have built up a great referral network. You have got to figure out how to say we have capacity, and what happens if we go beyond that capacity. You've got some threshold. You can go a little more.
Yeah.
But don't burn out the loyals that are there, the hardworking people that get it, that are part of your system. They can't sustain overtime every single week.
Can't emphasize that enough. Can't emphasize that enough. Don't burn your people out.
It may look like on paper that they love jumping from a $38,000 a year at 40 hours to making more. Everybody loves that for a while, but eventually they're like,
the money's just not worth it.
The money's not worth it, and they're tired, and they start making mistakes. They get bitter. The little reasons they're looking for a day off when they, you're just not. They're taking days off and affecting your business on their terms and not yours, and they just honestly start to feel like you don't care. You care more about taking jobs than them.
Yeah,
that can't be the message. And I don't think most people want that to be the message. But it's this cycle.
It happens because people are so worried about paying bills that they'll just take take work just to keep the top line up. right? Keep revenue coming in.
Mm-hmm.
They're forgetting about profitability,
Yeah.
and they're forgetting about their people.
Yeah. So also watch the overtime for your team, so burn out, but also watch. Toby just said it, the profitability of your jobs. I think I talk a lot about the jobs you take in on Thursday and Friday and beyond during regular hours. You're estimating and pricing those jobs at regular rates, but you're paying a 1.5 multiplier on your overtime for the team that are doing it, because you've worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe part of Thursday, 40 hours, and now everything's overtime. So it's now costing you 50% more.
Yep.
And that's your margin. You're selling it. So
If you're not billing for it,
well, and people are going to say, I can't bill for extra rate just because my people are overtime. What are you going to do? You know, you have to be profitable. Okay, so I would just say, be cognizant of that. There's the human side of it, and then there's the financial side of it. So just look at it, what it's doing to your margins, and then you start having another problem, another hole in the boat, I like to call it. You start losing a different battle, and it compounds with the one you've already got, and it's just not good. So just stay aware. This is what the leader of the company is supposed to be looking out for. But you know, we recognize the issues. I was having a call yesterday, Toby, with a client, and then the general manager called, having some of these same conversations, staffing strategies, and they hired, and I'm sure you're going to relate, they hired a few of the wrong people just because they fogged up a mirror when they came in. They showed up. 20 people interviewed, or 20 people applied. 3 showed up for an interview. 2 made an offer. 1 showed up. Certainly a C player at best, but they're here. Wait till your team that's busting their butt find out that you hired someone that is just a toxic person. You're going to, again, alienate them and lose them, and they're going to, if you're lucky, they're going to run that person off if they're doing you a favor.
yeah,
And this is going back to know what your capacity is with the best people, but hiring the wrong people is bad. I heard I was watching a movie.
no, you weren't watching.
2 weeks ago, I was watching a movie.
This guy's a movie and music guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
This movie was
He likes
about
references, and I don't get them.
the Japanese bark beetle. A Japanese bark beetle is a very, very small, almost like a grub worm type, but they're extremely prolific and reproductive. But they attack large evergreen forests and trees, and they literally, in a season or two, decimate thousands of acres just by rooting. So this little small, minuscule thing in the grand scale of things has the ability to permeate across the entire forest and disrupt. And then, of course, animals.
Entire ecosystem.
Animals. So think of it's that important, guys and gals. It's that important. I get it. You are fighting and struggling with this. Well, I've got to do something. I've got to keep making money. Pick your battles, pick your pains. You're going to have one or the other. I know which ones I would rather have, because I think this will, I don't know, Toby, I think this might autocorrect in some way or another, whether or not the world just moves on and we charge more and everything costs more. Somehow people decide to come back to work. I don't know what that is, but I know.
I think it's probably going to be a conglomeration of things.
Yeah.
I think the contractors will finally get to a point, on average, right, get to a point where they're like, okay, this is what we got to do to stay in business. Some of the other political things may correct themselves, and kind of the net of it, we'll be fine. We just got to get there.
We have to get there. We can't rush it. There's not much you can do about it right now.
No, like I said when we first started, you got to look at what are the circumstances, what are the kind of the guidelines you have to play in right now, and just play in there.
Play where you are.
Play in that arena and just keep trucking.
You know what? If you're in sports and it's raining that day on your game day,
you got to make adjustments.
You got to play in the rain.
Yep.
You're not going to quit the game.
Right.
It's raining. You can't stop it. So,
going back just real quick,
Yep.
You said something about, if you hire someone that's not a good fit for the culture, and hopefully everyone can, if they're doing you a favor, your current employees will run them off. What if there has been no system for hiring, and you have an organization that has a bunch of people that just don't align.
Well, we see that a lot.
We see that a lot. And so the owner is going to be so used to the dysfunction that it may not even feel dysfunction.
It may feel norm.
It may feel normal.
Yeah.
But just know that there are good people out there. And, get your, as cliche as it sounds, make sure you get your mission and your vision and your values all documented. And that's kind of where you start getting back on course.
Yeah.
But if all you've ever known is dysfunction and you keep hiring dysfunctional people, it's just going to be constant chaos.
So would you say that if you don't know how to hire and staff and you dysfunction as your normal, you probably don't have a super successful business. You probably aren't overwhelming your client with great service, and you're probably not happy. You're probably not making, listen, you as the owner did not quit your job or whatever that used to be to get a company that you own that you don't make nearly what you used to make, right? So I tell people all the time, maybe you're just not meant to be an owner. It's just maybe you're not wired that way. You're not hardwired that way. So I'm not discouraging anyone. I'm just like, but if you're in that place and if you have business friends, if you're part of the community, go sit with the business that runs really well. Do the E-Myth with them. Sit down with them, and they might show you some stuff. And then the question is can you do it?
Yeah. I mean, worst case, maybe, if you aren't really good at hiring or recruiting or whatever it is, find someone that is. Someone that can complement your skill set to make your business whole.
Yeah.
It's going to cost. But what happens if you don't do that? That's a question we ask a lot.
It's going to cost you financially to hire a coach or a mentor. It's going to cost you time.
Yeah.
You're going to invest some time into it that you're taking off of something else, which is going to cause you anxiety. You're going to be tempted to jump back into it. And then you're just back on the hamster wheel, and you're not happy. And then years click by, the calendar rolls. Time waits for no person. Epidemic or not, pandemic or not, hurricane or not, the world keeps moving. We're just playing a piece of it, and I'm not going to get all feng shui, Bruce Lee over here. Hey, I saw something really cool yesterday before we move on to this. It was an interview with Bob Marley. Him on, it's Bob Marley, and somebody says, it's like a reporter. He said, so Bob, are you rich? He goes, what you mean rich? He goes, do you have $1 million? He goes, I don't know. I don't count my money. He goes, do you think you are a wealthy man? He says, what you mean wealthy? He goes, just have a lot of money. He goes, man, I don't look at success and wealth with money, man. So no, I'm happy. I got life. I love. Pretty cool outlook, man.
Yeah.
Pretty cool outlook. But it was fun to do my terrible Bob Marley. And
we'll let it slide.
He was pretty high too, by the way, I think. But that's legal. It's legal there. It's actually part of his religion. Here's another question that we had today. And this is probably a bigger topic that I've never touched on, is what do we think about poaching? What do we think about stealing or recruiting from your competition? Big topic.
A big, ugly, hairy topic.
Big, ugly, hairy topic. I think that there's probably a lot of context to that. Do I believe that you should stand outside of their business or go to the corner and wait till they're passing by in their van and give them a flat tire and put out tack strips and recruit them? No. Do I think you should find them on Facebook and LinkedIn and snoop? No, really don't. I don't think that's professional. And I believe in the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have done you. It's not classy. I think, I'm going to let Toby talk. I think that if you do some of the earlier things, if you really position your company to be obvious in your community that you are a great place to work and people that work there really enjoy themselves, and that's clear, then those people might find you. People have a way to get that around, especially in small circles in a niche. That also means you're going to your distributor, your Ramsco, your John Don, or your supply places, or your whatever. Let them know that you're hiring. Let your staff know they come in there, be bopping around, looking like Tupac and having a good time. And then one day when an unhappy person goes to one of these places and says, man, anybody hiring? It's like, I don't know about these guys over here, man. They look like they're just like having a party every day. Oh, really? So to me, I don't like poaching directly. Now I've been known to go to a restaurant and the waiter was doing a really good job, and I slipped my card and I said, dude, if you ever want to leave here, you would fit your personality, your hospitality would fit right in. I'll show you what we do, but you'll make more and you'll have fun doing it. So
that goes back to what we were saying earlier. You know, you're not hiring, you're not looking for the best drying person, but you are looking for a person that fits the values of your organization. And I think it's important to, you kind of touched on it. It's important to cast the vision, to share the opportunity that your organization has that another may not. Do you want to directly poach? No. But if someone is unhappy and they're not a good fit, they're the right person, but maybe in the wrong seat for an organization, then perhaps they need to be in a different seat in a different organization.
for sure.
They need to have an opportunity that's a good fit for them. So, cast the vision, present the opportunity, and maybe they're not a good fit for the organization that they're at. But to directly poach starts getting into some moral and ethical lines being crossed.
Take the high road.
Yeah.
I always say when you're at this moral crossroads and you're having to ask yourself or even ask others, should I do something that I'm not sure I feel good about? Remember that your staff and your team and your customers, everybody's watching. What you do now when you need it the most is under a magnifying glass later. So I just would always say, what would you recommend? How would you recommend? There may be some classy ways to do it. There may be some ways that people have some tips, and I would say later some comments. But let us know what you think about poaching. It's something that I don't care for. But now, that said, if your competition is just a jackass and toxic and does bad work and treats his people terribly, number one, his team will find their way out of there eventually, and it won't be there. But that's not a license to go and poach and add to that, because then it kind of lowers you to that level. But, whatever you want to do, respectfully, tastefully, maybe some people that know him over there and drop the hint saying, hey, if they ever want something better, let's see if they're a fit and come over here. But I answered that question today, and I think the person we were talking to said probably agree. And I think that's the way they were leaning. I think they were just looking for some affirmation or just maybe a different perspective or a tip on what we could do. But I don't have one directly, but I think there are some indirect ways you can do that.
Definitely a good conversation.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's just really what you get desperate, and what you do. Well, what's the term? How you do anything is how you do everything. You wouldn't want it done to you. You
don't do it to someone else.
You wouldn't. Yeah. So that's it. My last piece, and I know we're running up on some time here, and I think we kind of touched on it, is just build a system. Become a ninja at talent acquisition.
Yeah.
And I just mean, and that's not just hiring them, getting them in the door. That's where it begins. That's obviously very important. But what does that onboarding look like? What is the training you give them? Do you set them up for success? I promise you, I've worked places, and Toby, maybe you have, that dropped you in the fire. And when I didn't do well, I was under a microscope, and I didn't go anywhere because I was doomed from the beginning. So don't doom anyone from the beginning. Have a 30-day and a 90-day evaluation plan. And give people a clear path where you're going to start at this, but once you learn these 14 things or these 7 things and you kind of get those under your belt, it's time to move up. And then eventually this is how you'll get to be an estimator and a project manager. But we have to master these things first. That is what people want. That's the journey. And it's again, if you're really just in the business and you got your blinders on, that doesn't become your focus, right?
Yeah. When we talk about marketing, marketing to get people in the door, a lot of people, once you finally get someone to show up for an interview, you can probably have a good chance of hiring them although we've been hearing a lot that, you can tell someone that you're hired, but they don't show up for their first day of work, and then it's a waste of time. But marketing is a numbers game, right? If you need the phone to ring 10 times, that means you got to put out, 1,000 connection points to get the phone to ring 10 or 15 times, right? The same thing goes for recruiting. If you know that it takes 100 applications to get one person to show up for an or two people to show up for an interview, and then only one of those people is going to be a good fit, and you need 5 people, then go ahead and get 500 resumes.
Yeah.
No,
I agree.
It's a numbers game. That's my point. Like the numbers, I'm making up numbers as I go, but it's a numbers game.
But you can curb that by some great processes before you even waste your time.
Absolutely.
Have people apply. Get an autoresponder program that emails them a set of instructions of what to do next. Ask them to ask. I know people that have said, make a video of yourself. You may not make a video of yourself for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, telling me what you think you would contribute to a company like this. Have them do a written test or something. Just test. Listen, they're going to need to be on some apps to do moisture mapping. Have some kind of it's okay to have people. I know you have to jump through hoops. Send a desk assessment. Have an automatic or email that says, if you're interested to go to the next level, here's a disc assessment, a personality profile. We want to see, not to judge you, just to see if you're a good fit for the culture and actually what that position needs.
Something I've heard a challenge in this process is, people that are they're on unemployment and they have to do a certain number of applications per month.
Yeah.
A way to curb that and kind of get those people out that aren't serious about the job is to have a set of questions that they actually have to do some research on. So, have a question where they can find the answer on your website.
That's cool.
Or something like that, just to kind of get those people out of your pipeline sooner than later, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be a good fit.
We could do a whole series on talent acquisition. I mean, I think people don't call references nearly enough, but listen, I think just even the copy of your ad when you're recruiting, it weed out the people you don't want and just make it clear what you do, and that you won't waste their time or yours if they don't fit this, whatever it is, your parameters. Someone that can work nights and weekends. Why would you hire someone that says I can only work till 5, unless you literally just need someone that works till 5?
Yeah, right.
So I think being better about that, being intentional, not just scraping something off the internet and saying, "Oh, there's my ad." Something that's specific for what you want. So, hey, we're getting near the end. I had one more thing to close out with. Anything on staffing? You got any recruiters? I've tried. Recruiters are all looking for people. Usually entry level, lower level technicians aren't going through recruiters that much.
Yeah. If you need a process, let us know.
Yeah.
We have a phenomenal process that we've come across for the whole hiring process.
All the way to compensation and every evaluation, compensation.
Yeah. But really, the interviews and if they're a good fit, the next steps and things like that. We've come across one that works really well.
Good roadmap.
And
blueprint.
it's a good roadmap from the time they come in for the interview to pre-hire.
Everybody's different. Every position might be different.
Absolutely, but it's a good template that I think would bring a lot of value, and we're working on customizing it for the industry. But
so restorationadvisors.com. Let us know if that's something you'd like to have a conversation about. See what it looks like. But just pay attention to it. Just even if you just find a business friend that does it well, go buy them a dinner. Go spend a day with them at their business. So that's gonna be about the end of it. I just wanted to close with something that comes from the EOS book, Wickman. It's hugely important and overlooked in our industry. Is you need to take a clarity break. You need to this all that we've talked about, all the things we're dealing with, from storms to shortages to processes to too much work, customer complaints. It takes its toll. The mental fatigue is so much worse than physical. Take a break. You can take a day. You can go fishing, go sit on the lake. Toby and I are talking about heading up to the mountains and sit on a rock and just do some thinking and writing. Take time away. If your business can't last one day without you, you don't have an incredibly strong business. I mean, it'll be okay. And you know what? Fine. Because what's going to happen if you don't take a break? You're going to crash and burn. Take a break. Take a break. Take a break. Get around people you love to be around. Do something that excites you away from work, and then just come back refreshed, and then hit it and get it, right?
Yep.
So, hey, that's it for us. Really, really glad you joined us today. Welcome aboard to Kahi. You guys that are out there, keep fighting the fight. Let us know how we can improve. Let us know what you want to talk about, what you want to hear about. If you don't like my shirt, you don't want me to wear camo again because you're part of the no hunting club, I'll listen. I really will. But we do best when we know what we want to what you need. Our goal here is to pour value in, and the better that we can isolate and individually target that to you, the better experience you'll have and everyone else. So please, if you have feedback, I know people have told me some episodes are better than others. Some people like when we interview people more. We have some of those coming up. I want to hear, because that's our navigation. So let us know, restorationadvisors.com, ADVISERS.com. There's a couple of links on there just to get on our contact, get a call back, get on the calendar, set up something that's good for you and for us. We do it all day. We talk to people, see if it's a fit, doesn't cost you anything, might make another recommendation. That's it. Have a good weekend.
You too, buddy.
All right. Take care, everyone.
y'all.